The Department of Public Health and Human Services is pleased to bring you Aging Horizons. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, fraud, legal issues, veterans benefits, and caregiving. Aging Horizons is a program dedicated to inform and prepare Montanans on these timely issues, making a difference to you and your loved ones. Here now is today's program host.
Good morning, folks, and welcome to Aging Horizons. On today's show, we'll be talking about Medicare. It's that time of the year you can decide whether Medicare has been meeting your needs or if you want to change the plans between October 15th and December 7th. You'll be receiving a booklet in the mail shortly. And we have people throughout the state, SHIP counselors, that can help and assist you to define what those programs are, how they can help, and they can explain them to you, but help you make the choice too. So stay tuned.
You've probably seen some big-name celebrities on your TV lately talking about all the Medicare benefits you're missing out on. But the insurance companies who are paying for these ads may be pushing benefits not available in Montana. Fortunately, help is available from a friendly state health insurance assistance program counselor who can help you sort it all out. It's free, and we screen everyone for eligibility regardless of your zip code. It's Montanans helping Montanans. Call today.
Medicare loses $60 million in Montana each year, $70 billion nationally. Medicare processes 4.5 million claims a day. They don't know who your doctor is, but you do. Mistakes can happen. Read your Medicare statements and call Montana Senior Medicare Patrol if you see anything unexpected. 1-800-551-3191. This project is supported by a grant by the Administration for Community Living.
Here in Montana, we love our outdoor activities. Unfortunately, few of them are risk-free. Indeed, Montana is second in the nation per capita in head injuries that can destroy the lives of people we love. That's why you should insist your family always wear protective helmets. But you can do even more. When you fill out your vehicle registration this year, circle the Y and donate $1 to support traumatic brain injury prevention and education. Now that's using the old noggin.
Hey caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
How about some good old-fashioned me time for starters?
Michelle Smith, Helena.
Or maybe play a high-stakes game of volleyball with my other kiddo. Gotta teach him who's boss, you know? I could even make my famous spinach lasagna. Never hear any complaints about that.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
Hey Mom, more lasagna please?
Hi folks, welcome to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and we're brought to you by the Department of Public Health and Human Services Senior and Long-Term Care Division. We're talking about Medicare once again, and every year between October 15th and December 7th, you will be able to choose whether your present plan is meeting your needs or if you'd like to change to another plan. You'll be receiving this book if you haven't already. It'll help you make those decisions. And in fact, you can share this book or the decision making with loved ones, maybe an attorney, maybe your accountant or your kids. But we have people throughout the state that can help explain it to you. And we'll be talking about that. Joining us today is Anita Linden. You're with the Area 4 Agency on Aging in Helena, and you're a SHIP counselor as well as a resource specialist. Yes. Now we're talking Medicare. You're a SHIP person which focuses on Medicare. Tell us what SHIP people do and how they assist individuals.
SHIP is the state health insurance program. We assist basically the Medicare within our state because each state it's a little bit different in each area. So they have different Medicare plans for your prescription drug, your Part D, or we have Medicare Advantage, which has, some of them have prescription in with them. And we help you decide what works the best for you. And,
now, part of the basic Medicare is Medicare A and B. What is the A, B, and then maybe you can go into the C and D.
Okay. Part A is for your hospital. Most people get that for free. Then we have the Part B, which is the medical. That's your doctors and all the goodies that you need if you have to go to the doctor. And then we have Part C, which is the Advantage plans.
That's optional.
The Advantage plans combine the A, the B, and then sometimes what we call the Part D, the prescription drugs or the drugs, D for drugs, and they'll combine those in there. That's where we get our C.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And you know, tell us about the re-enrollment period that's coming up, October 15th to December 7th. Why is that important, and what does that allow us to do with our plans?
For most people, you can only change it once a year, and the companies change their plans every year. What you have this year may not work the best for you next year. They may have different, with the Advantage plans, they may have different extras. Maybe their vision was dropped, or maybe they increased the dental, or they are not covering some of the drugs anymore that you need. And so we need to look and find which company offers to cover what you need the most. And that changes every year, and it's very important to always look. You may not change, but it's always important to check.
Check, because your health has changed and maybe your needs change there. Now we're talking about Medicare. Let's kind of start at the beginning. Who's eligible for Medicare, and how do they sign up?
Okay, Medicare is for those 65 and older, or those that have been disabled and have been on SSDI for more than 23 months. On that, after the 24th month, you are on Medicare. That becomes your health insurance. And it does have a cost, because Part A is generally free, but the Part B this year is $185 a month. And so you have to sign up through Social Security, which is not Medicare. You have to contact Social Security, because they determine what your costs are going to be to make sure that you're eligible for the Part A. But then you have to do your Part D with Medicare or a SHIP counselor, or on your own through the Medicare.gov website to find your plan.
Okay, now we have an 800 number that's up, and we have individuals like you throughout the state, don't we? And if they call that number, do they get one place, or do they get something local?
It's routed based on your phone number to the area your phone number comes from. So if you have a 443 number, it'll come to area 4, because that's the county we cover. If you actually have your phone number in another county, it will go to that county, or it'll go to the county that you're calling from. But it's not foolproof with our cell phones anymore, but it gets you to someone that can get you to the right area
and can
agency.
get you the answers. And this is offered through our area agencies on aging, which are throughout the state, that is set up under the Older Americans Act, which is now 60 years old this year. Been serving seniors in all types of aspects. But now someone calls in and they're not really sure. They say, I'm on Medicare, I might have questions about it. They send a call to you. What's a common call, or maybe the first thing you do when you get a call from someone?
Well, we generally try to find out where they live, so we make sure we're getting them the right information. And we just try to say, are you of age to be on Medicare? And if, do you need to sign up? We try and help them sign, get to the right place to sign up.
But there's also fraud out there too. And if a person suspects that there's been fraud with their medical bills, they contact you also.
They do, and we have our SMP coordinator, our Senior Medicare Patrol, which helps with the fraud. She will be on the next segment, and she's going to talk about our SMP on the next segment.
And our area agencies are considered one-stop shopping. Area agencies offer a lot of services to seniors, don't they?
Yes, we are information and resource specialists. So if, I'm having a legal problem, where can I go to maybe get help? What is a housing place? Where are there some housing that's for seniors only? Or I need to find food, so if they're eligible, we can help them find the commodities.
You offer Meals on Wheels in senior centers and ombudsman in the nursing homes. And we've quickly drawn to a close on our first segment, Anita, already. But for our viewers, we're going to continue discussing about our area agencies, the services they provide, particularly around Medicare, and how they can help you out. So stay tuned.
I was outside working on some equipment, nothing too strenuous. I started sweating and feeling out of breath.
When he felt pressure in his chest and aching in his arms, I knew we had to call 911.
First responders were there before we knew it. 38 minutes later, the doctors had restored the blood flow to my heart.
Now we know dialing 911 saved his life.
Your life is on the line.
This message sponsored by Mission Lifeline Montana.
Out here, we love our animals, from the wildlife to the livestock. Inside, it's the same. They're just like family. We keep them happy and healthy, most of the time. Secondhand smoke puts pets at risk for cancer, feline lymphoma, vomiting, increases the risk of tumors and lung cancer, even causes eye and skin disease. Secondhand smoke puts your pet's life at risk.
Did you just text me?
I didn't want to disturb you if you were sleeping.
Sleeping? I'm sitting right next to you, silly.
There you are. Hey, I found a couple of Medicare helping programs online that I think we ought to look into.
It says if we qualify, we can get help paying for our prescription drugs. Oh, and there's a program that can help pay our Part B premium.
To learn more about extra help and Medicare savings programs, call your local SHIP counselor today.
Maybe I better text him.
Hey, caregivers, did you know that respite time is your time? How will you spend it?
There's so much I want to do, like researching family history.
Sandra Gaskin, Bozeman.
And this time of year, there's never enough time to keep up with my garden. But what I really love to do with my respite time is to work on my latest quilting project.
Montana Lifespan Respite. Respite for caregivers. It's okay to need it. It's okay to want it. It's okay to get it.
It's so fulfilling when all the pieces come together.
Hi folks, welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and we're continuing our discussion about Medicare. Coming up October 15th to December 7th is a re-enrollment period where you can evaluate how your Medicare plan is working for you. The plans change every year. Maybe they won't change for you, but maybe they will. But you need to figure that out. What they've been paying for, they might not pay again, or they might pay more. We have individuals throughout the state that can help you. Our SHIP, State Health Insurance and Assistance Program individuals, where you've called them at the 800 number, a local person will be able to help you out. Well, we're coming back to our Area 4 Agency on Aging experts that's here in Helena, Montana. And we have Anita Linden, you're a resource specialist, and Danielle Horton, you're a resource specialist too. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Anita, let's start with you. There are some certain programs that help individuals pay their Medicare premiums based on certain factors. What's the program you would like to discuss with us?
We have 3 of them. Our first one is our Medicare Savings Program, which assists paying for especially your Part B Medicare premium. And it also, if you are eligible, it might help pay with some of your co-pays. Then we also have our low income subsidy, which helps with prescription drugs. A lot of people can't afford their prescriptions. It keeps the cost of the prescriptions down if you're eligible for it, and does help pay some of the premium. We also have Big Sky RX for those that may not be eligible for the low income subsidy, and that helps pay some of the premiums for those that are on Medicare prescription drug plans or their Advantage plans if there's a charge.
Right. And there's not a lot of awareness out there that they are there, but our area agencies, through our resource counselors like you, want the people to know about it. That's why we're here talking about it.
Right, and we want them to come to us to find out if they're eligible or to help them even apply for those different things.
And come early. The deadline is December 7th, and that last week is crazy, isn't it?
Right.
And they can meet in person with you too occasionally in some areas, right?
Yes. Yes.
So they'd have to call the number, get an appointment, and what kind of things would you ideally have them bring with them?
We need their prescription drug list, we need their providers sometimes, and their Medicare card or their Advantage plan.
Okay, maybe their physicians' names.
Yeah, that's
multiple physicians. And Danielle, tell us more about the programs that are available for our seniors.
So I am the S&P coordinator for the Tri-Counties, so Broadwater, Jefferson, and Lewis and Clark counties. Senior Medicare Patrol is there to help combat error, fraud, and waste with Medicare. It's a pretty big problem. Yes, it's about $60 million a year. And so those programs help people to report the fraud or can tell you if there was fraud happening. And the nice thing about it too is that we don't make you feel bad for being, scammed or anything like that. So
you're not going to get in trouble.
No, no.
Well, we've had some successes in Montana. I think last year or the year before, I think there was a doctor in Kalispell, and he was part of a bigger group, but you recovered millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And how do they find out about that?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
But I do know that it has been very helpful, and the more people that get involved and feel comfortable talking about Medicare fraud, the better it's going to get.
Yeah. Well, I know you get, in Medicare age, you get your Medicare notices of what they're paying for. And that might be the start point that an individual might say, this doesn't look right, but it might be right, but it might not.
Right, and it's good to look at your explanation of benefits, your MSNs, and if something doesn't seem right, then call and say something. We also have books that you can track your doctor's appointments, what they talked about, what they prescribed, so that you can know for sure if it's correct or not.
And do you have, and similar SMP people have like the trainings that go on throughout the state or information things?
Yes, yep. We usually try to visit our senior centers and do some broadcasts and things like that to have the community informed.
Well, it's the scale, the magnitude of the fraud that goes on. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And a person could get rich very, very quickly if they could figure it out. But we need to take that money and keep it in our services, right?
Yes,
That's where it goes.
Correct.
Yeah. Sometimes people might think that this looks strange on my billing. It's okay to call you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do? They call up and they say, "Well, I didn't think I saw this physician or provider." Where do you go from there?
I usually have them check with their doctor, because it'll have a date of service on there, and usually there is a record of the doctors they see, and so you can have them call the doctor, or they can come in, we can call with them and see if that was a service provided.
Okay, and I know sometimes you get a service, there's 3 or 4 people behind them that you never see.
Yeah, especially if you end up in the hospital and you don't really know what's going on, it can be a little confusing.
Right,
so, yeah.
Well, Anita, let's go back to you and let's talk about appointments for Medicare.
Okay.
Those are very important, and it's not just a weekend thing, is it? You are available until December 7th.
Right. But we don't do the appointments on the weekends.
Yeah, right.
Regular hours. So, of course, that shortens the period. So if you give us a call, the earlier you call us, we can set up appointments in advance. I mean, I've been setting appointments up since last year for people for this year. So, and it doesn't take that long. And if you can't come into the office, we do it over the phone. We can sometimes set up to do it with a Zoom if you have that capability on your side. A lot of our younger Medicare, needs are applicable to the Zoom. But we like to do it anyway, so just make sure you call the 800 number, and that'll get us, get you to us or to SMP, which we also do, so we can take care of the SMP.
Well, we've drawn to a close so quickly in our second segment, and for our viewers, I want to encourage you that you do call. Call them up, make an appointment, and you can use it with a loved one too if you want to bring them in. So we'll be right back, and we'll have great news on our next segment.
Every 65 seconds, someone is affected with Alzheimer's or other dementias. Many become isolated at a time when help is most needed. If you or someone you love is affected, help is available, both for people with memory loss and their caregivers. Memory loss can feel frightening, but you are not alone. Call the free 24/7 Alzheimer's Association helpline, 800-272-3900, for guidance and support.
Elder abuse is a growing problem, and it's happening right here in our Montana communities. At least 1 in 10 older adults are victims of physical or emotional abuse, financial exploitation, or neglect. To get help or report elder abuse, call your local area agency on aging or Adult Protective Services at 1-844-277-9300.
Today, class, we'll be discussing the term ombudsman, a word we borrowed from the Swedes and never gave back. Say you're a resident or you have a loved one in long-term care. Now, what do you do if you're not happy with the care and services you receive? You call your long-term care ombudsman, of course. Your ombudsman is available to support you and your rights. An advocate on your behalf could be the ticket. This is your home. If you have questions, the numbers right there below me have all the answers. Class dismissed.
I was angry and upset when the doctor told me I have diabetes. I just didn't want to deal with it, the needles and the diet restrictions. But after I started to learn about it, those feelings changed. I was at risk for a heart attack caused by high blood sugar. That got my attention. I started watching my diet and making sure I got enough exercise every day. I want to be around for my grandkids, and now that I know what to do, it seems like a small price to pay.
Ask your doctor about diabetes education or visit montana211.org.
Hi folks, and welcome back to Aging Horizons. I'm your host Brian Lamore, and we're continuing our discussion about Medicare and services that are available through your area agency on aging. An important point that's coming up, you should have received this book, Medicare and You 2026, because between October 15th and December 7th, you can reevaluate your Medicare plan and how it's serving you. The plans may change, they may not change. Your health may change, it may not have. You need to kind of look at this and maybe possibly contact some of our SHIP counselors at the 800 number that'll be up on the screen during this show. So rejoining us now is Danielle Horton, and joining us is Ryan Colshaw. You're both resource specialists, and Ryan, in particular, you're a caregiver specialist, and caregivers are very important. When we get older. Well, it can happen at any stage of life. But what does the area agency do in assisting caregivers to take care of the person they give it to?
Well, we start with the initial assessment of the caregiver using the T-Care platform, which is a software suite and organization that is designed to specifically assess and manage caregiver burnout. We go through these assessments to determine how far they are along in their caregiving journey, how they're feeling about their care recipient, how much work they're putting into caring for their caregiver, any other factors, how likely they are to place in an out-of-home placement, and also depression. We do test for depression through that. When we finish with all those assessments, I write them up a care plan, and I check in on them every couple of weeks to see how that care plan is going for them, help them get connected with other organizations that can help them out more.
Well, now, I guess when does a caregiver contact you for assistance? They're taking care of a loved one, and imagine there comes a point there's kind of a crisis, but the initial stages they're happy to do that, then they don't realize what's going on, and eventually caregivers can wind up hospitalized, not the care person. When do they initially contact you? When's the ideal time?
As soon as they become caregivers and find out that my services exist, that I exist, they should go ahead and contact me.
Oh, that's great.
It's never too early to get started on taking care of the burnout.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you get services to these individuals? You have a program that you do an analysis, and then there's probably some recommendations and maybe eventual recommendations, right? How do you tie them into services?
We find local resources. For instance, I am working with the local Tri-County Alzheimer's Alliance to set up a caregiver respite retreat in November for Caregiver Appreciation Month. Local senior centers do things like that, memory care cafes, adult daycare to get the care recipient somewhere for a day to help the care receiver breathe for a minute.
Yeah. Well, that term is respite, and I don't know if our viewers are really familiar with that. That's kind of our professional language. Define respite for us and how our viewers can maximize that.
Respite is without all the big fancy words, it's taking a break. It's getting a breather from the work that you're doing. Respite comes from Latin to rebreathe.
Oh, okay.
There's a longer etymology in that, but it does come from the Latin to rebreathe.
And that becomes so important. And it can be just several hours or possibly days?
Several hours, 2 days. Most of them are just several hours, but just in those several hour, the 3-4 hour caregiver respite retreats, caregivers report improved mental health and just improved well-being for 6 months after those. It seems like such a little thing, but it can be such a huge help.
And you mentioned lining up an individual with a support group. There's a lot of support groups out there. Many times people think, I'm inventing the wheel here. Nobody's experienced this before. What do I do? Where do I turn? What's the importance of support groups? And I imagine you have access to a lot of those.
Support groups are exactly what they sound like. They help you navigate. There are people who've been through it, who are going through it with you. They help you feel less alone. Seclusion and isolation tend to lead to depression and that caregiver burnout. So separating from that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a group specifically for caregiver support. It could be something like Wild Montana does hikes. And they're hikes that you can take, the caregiver can take their care recipient on, even if they like that, or the caregiver can just go themselves. It can be pool leagues every Tuesday night, going out and shooting some pool with your buddies. It can be and simple things like that.
Simple things, and you help facilitate that, being the caregiving coordinator. Now, Danielle, you're with the Area Agency on Aging, and we have area agencies everywhere in the state. Tell us more about what the area agencies do and how they serve seniors.
So we're a network of, it's kind of a combination of employees, contractors, and volunteers. With Area 4, we cover 6 counties. So that's Lewis and Clark, Gallatin, Broadwater, Jefferson, Meager, and Park counties. And every area agency looks different from each other based on their demographic and funding, as we were kind of discussing. But they pretty much do the same work. So we have a lot of Medicare counselors, people that help with durable medical equipment, the INA SHIP counselors,
information and assistance.
And so they are really just there to help the seniors as a whole be happier and be in their home.
Well, it's kind of a one-stop shop too. We have the area agencies everywhere. They fund senior centers, and senior centers have a lot of activities because socialization is so important for seniors. They have Meals on Wheels, but they'd like you to come to the senior center, but they can get them to you if you have health issues. But they have ombudsmen and legal advocates. Tell us more about what they do.
So the ombudsman would go into long-term care facilities and talk to residents. And if they want, the residents want help resolving an issue, they will. If they don't, then they don't. Kind of situation. It's more of a confidant type of situation. With the legal counseling, that more comes to us giving referrals to different places.
And I know they provide services too. And I'm sorry, we were drawn to a close on this third segment so quickly, but you guys offer so much. Thank you for being here and for serving Montana seniors.
Absolutely.
And for our viewers, call the 800 number, get in contact with the Area Agency on Aging. They have all kinds of services, all kinds of resources. And thank you for joining us.
Special thanks to the Department of Public Health and Human Services for their continued support. Hosts on Aging Horizons are program specialists at the Montana Office on Aging. Production facilities provided by Video Express Productions. For more information about Aging Horizons, call the Department of Public Health and Human Services toll-free at 800-332-2272.